All right, welcome. This is the School District of Prescott Board of Education's regular meeting. I'll call the meeting to order, subject to Section 1983 Wisconsin State Statutes. The first item up is to adopt the agenda. Rick, is there any changes that we need to make?
There are no changes by administration.
All right, we'll need a motion.
I'll move to adopt the agenda as presented.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? That changes. Next item is Pledge of Allegiance. Tanya, will you do that?
I pledge allegiance to
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, next item is recognition of visitors. If you care to be recognized, you can step to the podium and state your name and township, please. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Ken Anderson. My wife Holly and I have lived in Prescott for over 19 years. We have 5 children. Shelby and Jonah both graduated from Prescott. Flynn, Cully, and Willa were all Prescott students until this year when we decided to homeschool them. We would love to have them return next year to this district, which is why we are asking for a meeting with the school board and Dr. Spikuza next week in a town hall format, similar to the recent referendum meetings. We understand no action can be taken on this request at this meeting, but we do ask that you schedule the meeting in the coming days. The meeting will be used to discuss the opportunity for the community and the school district to work together proactively to resolve the deficiencies created by COVID in regard to student academics, athletics, and also the social development that public schools provide our children. We all need to recognize that 100% of Prescott students have been affected by the district's response to COVID. We look forward to the opportunity to come together and provide the best educational environment for our students in these trying times. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Ken.
Thanks, Ken.
Well stated. Is there anybody else that would care to be recognized at this time? All right, thank you. We'll move on to good news from the district. Dr. Spikuza, you want to lead us?
Well, first off, welcome to everybody, and happy St. Patrick's Day to the Irish and those that want to be Irish. As you see, and as our previous speaker mentioned, it is the 1-year anniversary of when the governor closed businesses, work locations, and all public schools within the state of Wisconsin. And over those last 12 months, remarkable things have still gone on. And so as we looked at in the beginning interloop of the types of projects our students are doing, we did a remarkable graduation last year under very restrictive guidelines, and we're able to have a drive-in graduation. This spring, we are already starting to transition, and by next week, 100% of our secondary students will be able to be on site. The challenge, though, is that many families still, for health reasons, have chosen to have their students at home. Our obligation is to provide a fair, appropriate public education for all students within our community. Our teachers continue to do remarkable things. They're heroes that are working on behalf of our students to ensure that they are checking in with our students either in person or through technology. I could not be prouder of the public education teachers and the staff of the Prescott Public Schools as they have had to navigate an incredible storm over the last 12 months, that there is no playbook, there's been no real guideposts, and a lot of people are trying to answer questions in the best interest of the whole. As a school board and as a superintendent, our goal and our obligation is to make sure that we provide and act as the trustee of the entire district. And so oftentimes there are competing interests, and we understand that. And we're more than happy to work, and I know that our principals And teachers have done remarkable things over the last 12 months to make sure that they engage with our families, to engage with our students. And some of the events that you see pictured here are what our food service did over the summer, and extended meals for all students in the Prescott boundaries and families, regardless of income. We had individuals that were driving and dropping off those bags of food and meals. We also had incredible Instagram and visits by our teachers out to our students. Since September 1st, we've been able to keep our 4K through 5th grade on site every single day with our teachers. It's a remarkable thing that has not been able to be achieved in many parts of our state, in some of the bigger districts, Milwaukee, Madison, Dane County, and we've also been able to do things that the state of Minnesota has not been able to do. It does appear, and later today when I give the update about COVID, is that the numbers are dropping. We have our first dose of Moderna vaccines for our staff, which will allow us to maintain our staff to be able to not be quarantined and to be able to keep our doors open. That has been the biggest challenge of staff who have been either close contact or stricken by COVID. Unfortunately, or fortunately, however you want to look at it, we still have to follow the governor's orders and to maintain and apply and be respectful of the orders that are either federally mandated, state mandated, or locally mandated. At this time, the governor still has the emergency rules that are in place through April 5th. Next week, we expect to have 100% of our students at the secondary invited. We'll have a spring break. We'll come back on April 5th, and our goal is to examine April 12th as a time when secondary students could be on site 5 days a week. If everything continues, we see that our athletics and our athletic programs will continue, and we'll be able to participate in the outdoor events and also have the opportunity for fans because of the outdoor aspect. And we are planning and inviting our students to participate in our summer program. So it's been a tough year. It's been frustrating for many. It's been frustrating for families, understandably, people that are out of work, people that are working from home, people that are working from home and having students at home. That is not ideal. And the Prescott Public Schools, as a school board, and as a superintendent and as administration, we are committed to trying to get 100% of our students on site 5 days a week so that we can continue to meet the academic, social, emotional, and athletic needs of our students. So once again, I just wanted to thank our staff at every aspect, from the time we pick up our students with transportation, feed our students through breakfast and lunch, make sure that our custodians have been able to clean, disinfect the locations, our aides, our front office staff, and the principals. I can't thank you enough, and I know that we'll continue to do great things, and I look forward to seeing what the future will bring. Thank you.
Dr. Cesa, could I just interject here too really quick? Because we got a nice group here, and I appreciate you guys coming and addressing us in a nice, professional, and respectful manner. That's sincerely appreciated by the board. It makes us it makes it a little bit easier to sit up here and be in this position. I will talk to Dr. Spikuza after the meeting, and we'll discuss what our next steps will be, and somebody will definitely reach out to whoever the leader wants to be here. So thank you for coming. I appreciate the respectfulness and approaching the board in a nice, respectful manner. Thank you. So
we'll move on to our site reports. I would just ask our administrative team to kind of keep the clock rolling. Please queue up behind the podium. And thank you again for the individuals that were here, and go enjoy St. Patrick's Day.
pretty good. Save a spot.
I'll start it off here. Matt Smith, District Activities Director, Assistant High School Principal. In terms of athletics and activities, we have a forensics team, has districts fast approaching here this coming weekend here, so best of luck to everyone involved with that. Our PHS dance team, Middle Border Conference champs after the performance last weekend at River Falls, so kudos to them. And they have regionals this weekend in Hudson, so best of luck to them with that moving forward. We had some all-state basketball honorees. On the girls' side, Isabella Lenz was named first team, also the Conference Player of the Year for the second straight year in the Middle Border, quite an accomplishment. And sophomore Jordan Malmlov was named honorable mention all-state, so congratulations to both of them for those honors. In terms of Middle Border Conference and WA Scholar Athlete representatives, from Prescott High School we have Austin Fox and Isabella Lenz were selected as our representatives, so excellent job by both of them over their careers, both in the classroom and on the competitive field. Thank you very much.
Good evening, Josh Figge, high school principal. 3 quick things. First off, last week we welcomed back our seniors and our freshman classes 100% on site. This week we welcome back our juniors 100%. It's been great to see all of our faces. Our students have been absolutely wonderful. Seeing their excitement of coming back to school. I talked to a student in the weight room the other night, and she told me, if I ever complain to you again about not being at school, I want you to hit me. I said, well, I can't do that, but keep that sentiment in your head for the next year and a half. So that was really fun to hear. We turned over to our last trimester of the year, so our students are on the home stretch. Our seniors specifically are on the home stretch, and we're starting to plan out some of our end of year and graduation ceremony type things already. And then today we got a majority of our junior class through their ACT. And this was the first year we ran our ACT online. So that was a big transition. So I want to thank the proctors who helped us out today, and the proctors who have been helping out our students the past few days, as well as Michael Kosmowski, who helped set a lot of that up. Lydia Smith and our counselors, they did a lot of work. So that's the good news from the high school.
Thanks, Josh. Mr. Igo.
Kyle Igo, Prescott Middle School. I'd first like to congratulate our GOB and our GO Challenge winners. This year in 3rd place was Amelia Berg, 2nd place was Ken Ryan, and 1st place was Elise Stokel, so congratulations to those students. My next congratulatory shout out here is again to one of our 7th grade students, Amelia Berg, who placed 2nd in the state for the Land and Water Conservation Speaking Contest. Amelia prepared a speech on the Eastern Whippoorwill, and Amelia competed at Prescott level, then took 1st at the county level, 1st at the regional level, and then finally 2nd at the state. I shared her speech is about 5 minutes long, and I shared it with Dr. Spikuza on our Good News page. If you have an opportunity and want to learn a little bit more about the Eastern Whippoorwill, please make sure that you take a look at her speech. It's a wonderful speech, very well done, and obviously must have been well done to take 2nd place in the state. So congratulations, Amelia. Finally, we again, much like the high school, welcome back our 7th grade class last week, and we'll be welcoming back our 6th and our 8th grade classes next week. It again is great to see the building filling up a bit, having a bunch of students back on campus. Just to hear the excitement and the energy in the air and throughout the building is great to see. So we're excited for our 6th and 8th grade classes to come back and join us.
Happy St. Patrick's Day, everyone. Michael Kosmowski,
Just
Prescott Intermediate.
Could you bring the camera in on the podium?
This was a double dare. This actually goes back to my days in the classroom when I know behind my back the kids had the nickname Leprechaun, which didn't really bother me. So
I don't know what they're talking about.
Kudos to those kids that got me to wear this today. Good news from the intermediate school. We also continued the Geography B Challenge. Our winners, 3rd place, we had a tie with Scarlett Butler and Noah Kraft. 2nd place was Ben Barker. And 1st place, we had a tie again with Finn Spitzer and Audrey Kellogg. So congratulations to them. Spelling Bee, we have one student that competed in the regional competition and has now made it to the state competition, which will take place next week. So Ella Brantner from 5th grade, congratulations to her. On Thursday, February 25th, we had our DARE graduation. And I was happy to say that we were able to broadcast that to our parents. And then every class has a winner that writes an essay. All the students write essays about what they learned during DARE. And the winners this year were Connor Anderson, Avery Braun, Kiara Link, and Isabel Little, who then delivered their writings to the class. So congratulations to all of our students on their DARE graduation. And the last piece of good news, Black History Month activities were going on across our building with various amounts of activities. One of the ones that I just wanted to highlight was our third grade participated in learning about a number of icons, and each student had a piece of a mural to color, and then those murals, which are displayed behind you, were assembled and are now hanging in our lobby area. So congratulations to the third grade students and our staff for putting that on.
Thank you, Michael. Mark Inouye, Special Services.
Good evening. Just wanted to kind of echo a little bit of what Mr. Figge was saying regarding the ACT. Today was the ACT for the lion's share of the high school students, but we also have been working over the last week and a half on ACT for students who receive accommodations. So they have really been doing a lot of work, and I really want to just thank my special services team at the high school for all their work organizing and proctoring the exams. A big thank you to Mr. Kosmowski for the several hours he spent on the phone with DPI and ACT as we were trying to figure out accommodations and trying to get things figured out with the high school ACT going online, and then the special administration not always being online, so he did a lot of great work with that. And then secondly, we just this past week we held the 9th grade mental health screening at the high school. Just want to thank again the special services team and the student services team for all their hard work on that, especially the high school counselors who are doing that kind of in the middle of preparing for ACT. So a lot of great work has been going on. Thank you.
Thanks, Mark. Sarah Dusick, Malone Elementary.
Good evening. We are wrapping up our second trimester, so teachers have been busy completing progress reports that will be sent home with students tomorrow and doing parent-teacher conferences, trying to wrap those up before we go on to our spring break week at the end of March. I'd also like to congratulate Carrie Sizemore and our K-2 STEM program. They were granted $5,000 from the National Education Association Foundation for outdoor classroom supplies. So if you know any gardeners that want to help create rain gardens or move boulders, she is looking for lots of extra hands at the elementary building to help build that outdoor classroom for us. And then next week, we head into a Spirit Week at both Malone Elementary and Malone Intermediate School. Students will have the opportunity to dress up each day, not as much as Mr. Kosmowski today, but every day. And then we've worked with MPC to create a silent auction, and the classrooms have created themed baskets to go on silent auction next week. So I'd like to thank the MPC for collaborating with us on that, as well as the students and families who donated supplies for the baskets, and then the people who will be bidding on those baskets next week.
Thank you, Sarah. And our student report?
This month, student council officers met with Mr. Smith and Mr. Figge twice. The first one was to discuss spring fling, which we're hoping to have in April, and we're really excited to start planning some of the activities that will be both fun and safe. And then our second one was about an inclusivity effort we've been working on throughout the year.
Thanks, Maddie.
All right, we're good. Thanks, everyone. On to business. So the first item is the consent agenda. In the consent, we have minutes, board checks, and personal updates. Is there anything that the board would care to remove from the consent? All right, I'll adopt the consent agenda. Is there any objections? All right, the consent is adopted. We'll move on to item 2, resignation, retirement, and employment.
Yes, at this time, I wanted to point out that we had 2 resignations, one from the district office and one from food service. One that all of you know very well that served the district for 5 years, Beth Linderholm, has resigned as of March 5th. just wanted to thank her personally for her service. I hope she is not watching this live, given it's the first month that she has free on a Wednesday. But I'm sure she'll watch the reruns, critique it, and have some comment on Facebook about Mr. Kozmowski's outfit. But a sincere thank you to Beth Linderholm for all the work that she did and supporting me over the last 5 years. I could not have done nearly as well without her as my right-hand person. So thank you. The second one is, probably should take them each in order.
Okay. I'm going to open it up. Does anybody from the board want to make any comments on behalf?
Yeah, I mean, Beth was great. I don't think Dr. Scusa could have done what he's done without her, actually, so pretty big deal for her.
The good is her, the bad was me. We're good.
She'll be missed. We really enjoyed working with her, and she kept us organized too. And when we gave her crap about screwing something up, she gave it right back to us. So it was fun banter back and forth with Beth. And I knew her before she started with the district, and I'm sure I'll be able to know her after she's gone. So thanks, Beth.
Anyone else?
I can just echo Steve too, and we've been through a lot with Beth. I mean, she's our ups and downs and personal life and with work. She's just really been professional and kept us in line. I've always been able to trust her, ask her questions. Especially as I was like a new board member. I think we've all been new board members with her, and really you couldn't ask her anything. Or you could ask her anything and not feel like it was a silly question or anything. So she was always awesome. She was always there for us, and yeah, there is no doubt she was the one running things behind the scenes. So we're gonna miss her a ton. So good luck, Beth.
Yeah, thank you, Beth. Thanks for all the help, and best of luck in the future.
Yeah, I'll really quick. Beth, if you're listening, I apologize that you're listening, but I'm going to miss. Hopefully we still get salamander colored paper and lavender colored paper.
Not tonight. You can tell she's already not here.
She's not here, so we don't have the color coded paper to keep us in line. But we do. Beth was a great addition to the district administration staff, and she's going to be missed sorely. I know she did a lot more. She had a lot on her plate, and she was the wizard behind the curtain. So thanks a lot, Beth, for everything that you did over the last 5 years. So we can take a motion here.
I'll move to accept the resignation of Beth Linderholm, Executive Assistant / Board Liaison, as of March 5, 2021.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? That carries.
The second individual is our Supervisor of Food Service, Tina Stenerus. She served the district for 22 years. She shared with me as when she first got here, the individual she followed worked 8 years. She said there's no way I'd be there for 8 years, and she said she started on a DOS machine. For those that are of my age, you might remember the DOS machines, and now everything that she does is wireless and in the cloud. But Tina has done a remarkable job balancing our budget, keeping a fund balance within food service, and only had 3 years out of the 22 where they were unable to keep a fund balance. She is moving on, and I wish her the best in our next endeavor.
All right, anybody want to make any comments here?
Oh, sure. So yeah, I've known Tina for quite a few years. We worked on some projects together, and I never knew if she liked me or not, but I guess I didn't let it bother me too much. But Tina was always really good. Yeah, she did great with her budgeting. The things and the changes they've gone through in food service over the years, and the way she's been able to adjust, being a part of building this school and designing the kitchen, she was a part of that. And I've had an opportunity to spend quite a few hours on athletics buses with her driving and me sitting behind her. So. Yeah, we're gonna miss Tina quite a bit. I wish her the best of luck, and that's all I've got.
Yep, another really big loss for our district. And Tina, I guess even just this summer, I look back to everything changing and things coming at us in every direction, and Tina just really kept that path and made sure that, like, her commitment to feeding our kids and our community was evident all throughout the summer, and it was, I was just really proud to work with the school district and be part of a school district that continued those kind of services for kids and families, and she's always been wonderful at what she does. So we'll miss her a ton. Good luck in the future. Again, our district's been really fortunate to have her and grow with her.
I'll add one thing more about Tina. I'm going to forget some of the stuff, but you know, she wasn't just our food service director. You know, she reffed sporting events, she drove buses, so on and so forth. I mean, she's really been all encompassing within the district. So, you know, there's a lot of holes to be filled with her leaving.
All right, yeah, Tina, another loss. I'll echo what Tanya said earlier about last summer, and I know last summer the delivery of the lunches over the pandemic was really impressive. I thought Tina really did a phenomenal job running that food service program through a pandemic. I'm sure there was a number of protocols and rules she had to follow that were thrown at her, and she just did a fantastic job. She'll be missed, and I wish her the best of luck too. So, thank you, Tina. We'll entertain a motion here.
I'll move to accept the resignation of Tina Stendrus, food service director, as of March 12th, 2021.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? That carries.
And we do have one teacher, a high school special education. Mark, is it accurate that it's at the end of the year, or was it? It was end of the year. Okay. So thanks. Megan Hare is a cross-categorical special education teacher. Has an opportunity, I think, for family reasons, will be moving, but it'll be a big loss. She's been a great asset to the special education program here at Prescott High School.
Anybody from the board wish to make any comments here?
Well, sure. I'm sure Mark's going to miss her, but my guess is her students are going to miss her more. So definitely wish her the best in the future, and there you go.
All right. We'll take a motion.
I'll move to accept the resignation of Megan Hare, high school cross-categorical, at the end of the 2021 school year.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? That carries. Next item is employment.
Yeah, as one season ends, the new season begins, and so we have some employment opportunities here. It is my proud distinction to offer to the board the proposal of appointing Mr. Michael Kosmowski to remain principal of Malone Intermediate School with a 2-year administrative contract for the academic years of 2021 and through the year 2023. He will also continue to provide the oversight of our teaching and learning department.
Steve, would you like to make any comments?
I would. The board really didn't want to do this, but we heard that most of the staff at MIS was going to leave if we didn't. So we really don't have a choice. No, Michael, I think we're all very happy that you've been such a great fit. I can honestly tell you that not everyone on the board was 100%, when it came to putting you in that position, and you have been a superstar. And I, more than anyone, am very, very proud of the work that you've done and excited to do this. So thank you.
Tanya?
Yeah, awesome. I'm so excited that you are continuing on with us. I love you live in the community, you know the kids know you. You are totally at the right level when you wear suits like that. I used to be elementary. Josh isn't going to wear the same suit to work, but so I'm so excited for you to continue with us and with our families and our kids. So congratulations.
Pat?
Yes, congratulations, thank you, awesome fit, couldn't be more happy. Also very excited about the continuing of the teaching and learning oversight as well. That's a very big deal, so congratulations.
Vicki?
Yeah, I kind of, what Tanya had to say, if you're going to dress like that, your kids must love you. So, yeah, I'm happy that you're staying and that you're going to be here for a while. And yeah, continuing with the teaching and learning, because you've got us headed in the right direction. So, thank you.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Kosmowski, for stepping into a huge role. You're a perfect fit and you've done a fantastic job. I heard so many good comments coming from the teachers from you this year that just came out of the blue, and it re-solidifies, I think, the board's opinion on the hire, and it's just welcome to the team and congratulations. Thank you very much for stepping in. So we can take a motion on this one.
I'll move to approve the appointment of Mr. Michael Kosmowski to be the principal of Malone Intermediate School with a 2-year administrative contract.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? That carries.
Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Just a point of order, we have a contract that needs to be signed. Is that with you? Okay. So if you could just make
Also
sure.
not official yet.
So, yeah.
I've been known to run out of here, so you better remind me.
So our clerk, Mr. Block, and also president, Mr. Matzik, if you could make sure we John Hancock that. Thank you. The next hire is we are proposing somebody that is already with the district and has been doing remarkable things and has the opportunity through the interview process went up against somebody that currently is a sitting admin assistant in another district. And I believe that Ms. Katie Hildebrand is the right fit and will help us continue to improve the work of the board, keep me in line, improve my performance, and will be a great asset to the district office.
Pat, do you have any comments you want to make for Katie?
Congratulations, welcome. Really excited to work with you.
And Vicki?
I don't have any well, I kind of do have a question. Is Katie here?
Yeah, there she is.
Okay. Since I don't have any kids in school, I'm like, I don't know who this is, so welcome.
Tanya?
Hey Katie, I'm super excited. It's been fun, having a middle schooler, and I guess I have this is my 4th year here, and seeing your name all over everything from the newsletters and from the good stuff happening there. So I know that you've been involved in an integral part of the school district already, and so I'm excited for this next step. It sounds like there's a lot of guiding of Dr. Spikuza that you'll be stepping into, so good luck with that. But we're really excited to have you. I did have one question, and I don't know if it's really anything, but I noticed that Beth's job description or title said executive assistant / board liaison. I do not see that on Katie's. Is she still our go-to person? And
She's still the go-to person.
It's unofficial, but it is. Okay, great. Thank you.
Steve?
I'll add that in the motion. Good point. Katie, what size shoe do you wear? Yeah, I was gonna make a big shoes to fill joke, but
that bombed.
We know you'll do great, and just make it your own. So good luck with Rick Spikuza.
Yeah, Katie, when I saw your name come across as the hire, I was really happy. That what a perfect fit. I thank you for applying for the position. I think you're going to do a fantastic job in keeping Rick in between the lines. So, thank you.
Has she signed her contract yet?
I think she's got to write it up for me first. Anybody want to make a motion?
Yeah, I move to approve the appointment of Katie Hildebrand to serve as the executive administrative assistant to the superintendent and board liaison.
A second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? That carries. Thank you. All right, let's move on. Item 3. Yep, all right. Consider the Cesa 11 annual review of services contract.
Yes, so something different this year is that Cesa, we have an annual contract with Cesa. They provide us with many different services. There also is a food service contract as well, but this one is specifically around academics, professional development, and access to different resources. Nothing is different. You all were provided the contract. We're renewing every component that we previously have had. They're a great asset for us. They cover things. Some of it is required for our Title III, which is providing services for English language learners. They assist us with kind of Title I reporting and then special education services. At this time, we are still reviewing the Early Learning Consortium, and that is being spearheaded by Sarah Dusick and the elementary and the 4K. And the principals are reviewing the Innovative Teaching and Learning Consortium. Both of those are within our budget, so that if we add that, those would be the only two additions that would be made. This is an annual process that we do every year, and we would ask the board to approve the ongoing contract with Cesa.
Steve, any questions, comments?
I have none, thank you.
Maddie, any questions or comments on this one? Tanya?
Nope, we do this every year, and yep, it's a good service.
Pat?
No questions.
Vicky?
No questions.
And I have no questions, so we'll take a motion. I don't see a motion in here.
I'll move to approve the CESA 11 annual renewal of services contract.
There you go.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? That carries. See, we already missed Beth on this one because we can't do our job with it if it's not written out that we have to make a motion and what to exactly say. So, all right, we'll move to item 4, PHS Early College Credit Program.
And I'll type that motion in while we have Mr. Figge approach. This is one of the exciting programs that we have within the Prescott Public Schools, and I'm going to have Mr. Figge present to you, and just wanted to let you know that we had late additions, so I will make sure that everybody understands in all of your additional paperwork it was caught. It is 7 students, not 6, and so take it away.
Thank you. I know we presented on the early college credit program and Start College Now before, but I know there may be some people who are in attendance or watching that don't know about it. The Early College Credit Program, or ECCP, allows students at high schools around the state of Wisconsin to take courses after they have completed the courses at their home high school in a sequence. They are allowed to take courses at a 4-year university or 2-year college, and the district then helps pay for some of the coursework, and the state reimburses the remainder of that, and it's at no cost to the family. There are some stipulations around early college credit. So we have a process that we go through at the high school. The counselors meet with the students first, and they kind of vet the students. The students need to meet certain criteria in order to qualify for the program. If the counselors can find alignment, then they forward it on to me, and I look for alignment as well and make sure that they've met certain criteria. And if we have students, like we do now, we have 7 students who meet those criteria, we bring them forward to you guys to make sure that these students have a shot at this opportunity. What you can see in front of you, if you're on the board doc, is that there are 7 students who are looking to engage in this early college credit program next fall. So they already have to get approval now to enroll in these universities. We're really looking at 2 universities. A majority of our students do their ECCP work through UWRF based on proximity and ease for them. But we do have 1 student who's looking to take 9 credits at UWRF, and the only other course is a really advanced course that is taken through Madison, and that's student number 6, where you can kind of see a split up there. So I guess having had you guys see this program before, I would take any questions that you might have.
Vicky, any questions for Mr. Figge?
No. Not right now.
Pat?
No, this is a great program. Do we have either Mr. Figge or Mr. Spikuza? Do we have last year's total cost, just as by way of comparison, what that was?
Yes, but it's a little complicated only because the state continues to combine and pull apart programs. So on average, for the last 3 years, we've spent anywhere from $4,000 to $6,000. But they were under different names like youth options and things like that. But when you put them all together, this consolidates, it falls within our kind of 3-year average.
And I went back, I tried to find in my notes, I couldn't find it. How many students did we have in the program this past year?
This past year,
Yeah.
we saw 10 students engage in the program over the
Okay.
course of the year. So I do want to point out this is only for
Fall.
the fall semester.
Got it.
The state mandates, so they had to apply for this by March 1st, and then I have to bring it to you guys the subsequent board meeting. Students who want to take it in the spring have to make their intentions known, I believe, by October 1st
Okay.
of next fall.
Okay, thank you. No other questions?
Tanya?
No questions. It's just, again, I really like the continuum of options that we offer our students. So when they've depleted our chemistry, our sciences, and all that stuff, they have more options to continue their education. And I think it's a great program. It's offered through the state and in conjunction with our colleges. So great partnerships.
Steve?
I mostly agree with Tanya, thank you.
Maddie, any questions on this one? All right. Thanks, Mr. Figge.
Thank you.
We'll entertain a motion.
I'll move to approve the presented 7 student requests for early college credit program for the 2021-2022 academic year.
I will second.
Tie. We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And that carries. Item 5, consideration of PHS band trip to Disney World, spring
Who's
2022.
going to Disney World? All right, Mr. Campfield, you're still in the audience. There he is.
He comes to a meeting once every 4 years. It's awesome.
I kind of complained about that with him. Welcome, Jason.
Hi there.
You're up.
I am up. Jason Campfield, high school band director, and it's every 4 years we do a trip. And when I started, it was my 3rd year, I think, when the 4-year rotation came along, and we chose Disney World, and we've been going ever since. I think this is our 7th time going. So it's something to look forward to, and you know, it's been a really interesting year, obviously, and we wanted to make sure we come to the board and answer any questions or talk through if there's anything, and then and go from there. I am going to be like this week, if this is all approved, I will be starting with the Disney application process tomorrow, because it's a year out from when you can start applying. And with Disney being busy with bands for the last couple of years, unable to play, you can start a year out and then up to 6 weeks from your time to go. So I want to start tomorrow. So that's just kind of timeline, and then also from there, put a questionnaire out to parents who would be interested in attending as well. In the past, we've taken anywhere between, 100 to 150 people, depending on the year. So that's just where we're at right now. So next year, and it's been really, it's been a lot of questions also for me, and been working with a couple different travel agencies, asking a lot of questions, working with Disney, asking them as many questions as I can. So just looking at the best opportunity. So, and here we are. So if you have some questions,
and
I have some of the answers.
Yeah, and let's also be clear, one of the things that we understand is that no one controls COVID. And so, although we are asking permission tonight for Jason to be able to move forward, we wanted to make sure that the board and we understand that if the environment changes, that you would have the power to weigh in and maybe even cancel a trip, which I wanted to just share as you're looking. What are some of the guiding principles you have about in case Disney World closes or the airlines close, that students are not out money?
Yeah, I mean, anyone that knows me pretty much knows this has been on my mind for the last year. It just has been, and I've been a part of a lot of discussions with a lot of the directors around the country, especially in the state, and a lot of them were canceled for the last 2 years. And now Disney is opening up this month for performing again. So April, I can't remember the date, but sometime in April will be the first performances again. So they've been shut down for performances for basically 2 seasons now. So for me, normally speaking, we always go off of what is the best price and also what is the best kind of looking at it a community sense. How can we make sure the best happens for the students, the safest, And you know, we just kind of put a lot of different moving parts to figuring out the company and also the best way to travel and all that. This year, I think the biggest thing is to be looking at insurance policies and also cancellation policies. And I think that's going to be, I reached out to Mr. Figi and Dr. Spikuza several times about saying I don't want to take this on myself. I think it's important we all kind of look at this and find the best solution. So I think every other year that we've done this, it was kind of, we just went through the motions and do it. And it's just been a little different this year. So I want to make sure if there's any questions or any guidance, we'll go forward with that.
Tanya, you have any questions, comments?
Well, I noticed it's over part of spring break next year, so
Yes.
always good when our kids are out of the classroom, less and less, especially when they've had a year in and out of classrooms. So I appreciate that timing.
Yeah.
I think this is a great program, and I think besides the music aspect, the travel aspect, the getting to know kids in different communities and different spaces, all of those are really good learning opportunities. But I think one thing that is also really important is kind of bringing back some of our traditions and things that we've been able to do in the past. And traditions make us feel, I don't know, socially connected, makes us feel safe, makes us kind of know and expect what's coming. And I really look forward to having some of those traditions come back. And it might look a little bit different, I hope not, but I really welcome and love those conversations of what can we do to bring this back for our students. Because this is something, my kids aren't even in band, but they talk about this, you know, and so this is something that kids look forward to, expect, and is something that is part of our culture here. So thank you for working through this. I'm sure this is a lot harder than most years, and I appreciate you also knowing when it's good to reach out for a little bit of help and have extra eyes. So yeah, I'm all on board, and I hope it happens. April's a year away, so.
Yeah.
Pat?
Echo a lot of what Tanya says. This is a fantastic program. Excited to see it back. Dr. Spikuza, maybe just a question, you know, because we're going to vote tonight to approve, you know, letting this ball roll forward. What is the additional guidance, or, you know, heaven forbid, you know, things get worse. You know, what does that look like, right? Does it have to come back to the board? You know, is it a let's wait and see what happens? What might that look like?
Right. Well, I'm not good at predicting the future. What I do want to say is that, as Jason said, we've been trying to make sure that no family or student would lose any money if the trip got canceled. Right. What we wanted to make sure, however, is that it's really hard to move forward and do a lot of the legwork if the board had any concerns about spring break, you know, given that kids have been out of the classroom. We did try purposely to set it up so they're only missing those 2 days. And then lastly, you know, it is possible that maybe it's still open, but people are concerned, and we would obviously be aware that the board has the right to intervene. And so we just wanted to make sure that you knew that we weren't going into a contract that would be locked in without the board being able to have a ability to intervene if you so chose.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, I have no other questions right now.
Okay. Vicki?
No, I don't think I have anything. I mean, it sounds like Jason's been working pretty hard at this, so yeah, I hope that everything works out okay and you guys get a chance to do this again.
Steve?
I won't repeat everything Tanya said, but yeah, the students really like this. So I'm just curious, do you have a ballpark on cost per student?
Last time, well, 2 times ago, I should say, it's about $1,500, and last time was $1,600 per person, but we added universal, and we also, that covered most of the meals, all the flight, all the hotel, all the transfers, the ocean. We were at the parks 5 days. It was basically everything someone needed to survive from the minute they leave to the minute they get back. I mean, it was all kind of not all-inclusive, but it was pretty good, and that price is pretty good compared to a lot. And I think, you know, we do a lot of the work ourselves, which does help costs or save some of those costs. But it was around 16, and I just told the travel companies we're working with, that's my goal, is to stay to understanding it's 4 years later, but staying within that, so.
And you do fundraising as well, so what does that cover percentage-wise
So,
typically?
traditionally speaking, fundraising, I think since it has become such a tradition, you know, that a lot of people just, you know, they're already thinking about it or saving for it. One thing that I wanted to do is I wanted to get away from a lot of door-to-door selling. Well, this year made that pretty tough to do anyway. So, but what we do is I wanted to use the students' abilities to earn money towards a trip. So they would get sponsors for playing at like the care center or something, and then they would get sponsors from relatives and friends and family to pay for that. Also, we have a new recording studio that you guys help with funding, and a lot of great stuff with that. Students can also make a holiday album, and they can sell that to people. I mean, we can use the students' abilities to help pay for their trip.
Okay.
So that's kind of the way I'd like to go with it. So.
Okay, thank you.
And all those will start. So what will happen if we get approval to move forward? I'll do the Disney application tomorrow. I'll send out a kind of a soft interest form to everybody tomorrow, and then by next week start looking at the final breakdown in cost. It kind of depends on also the amount of people. If you have 100 people going, or if you have 120, or if you have an 80, it's a little bit different in cost and stuff. So.
All right, Maddie, any comments on this one?
Opportunity to go on this trip my freshman year, and I had a lot of fun. A lot of my fellow classmates had a lot of fun, and it's definitely a memory I'll take with me after high school. So I hope other students get the opportunity to go as well.
And I guess we should also thank Mr. Campfield, because I know if we approve this tonight, from tonight until the end of the trip, it'll absorb his entire life. So
No, not at all.
Thank you for your efforts as well.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, agreed. Thank you, Mr. Campfield, for setting this up.
One thing I did want to say, if I can, I was telling Dr. Spicuz about this the other day, and it goes to what Tanya was saying, that the students, they look at me like I'm kind of playing both sides, like talking the trip with them a little bit about this, and the students are so resilient. They're already thinking that next year is just happening, and it seems like if I get a little too conservative and say we're not ready, all this and that, then that kind of just feels like another kick to them. So for me, I told them we're gonna have to start working hard. We've been scanning music the last couple of days, just getting ready for students to start working outside of school. So they're ready for it, and it is a lot of work, but Steve is right. It will be on my mind until we're done. So, yeah.
All right, thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, let's get a motion.
I'll move to grant Prescott High School principal and band director permission to develop, fundraise, and execute a band trip to Disney World for spring of 2022.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That carries. Item 6 is consider the request by retired Sergeant Dean Markusson to hold an event on the Prescott School grounds.
Yes, we have both, let me just preface this. This has been one of the most challenging requests for a couple of reasons. It was approved by the City Council to occur on public school property before telling us that it was happening. That created a little bit of confusion, and then the flyers also included Patek's behind the center, but again, on school property. As you can imagine, I am a son of a lieutenant that was in the Navy, so we obviously want and are very proud of the military, and it's a very important mission to bring awareness to prisoners of war and those that are missing in action. The Freedom Flight Incorporated does want to have a tethered hot air balloon on our property by Borner Field. It is to raise money for the local Legion and also the Legion in Hastings. They are not charging for individuals to go into the basket, but they would be asking for donations. I need to share with the board that your insurance does not cover hot air balloons, and it's actually excluded in your insurance. So we have reached out, and we're working with retired Sergeant Dean Markusson. We have confirmed that he has liability insurance of $1 million. It is part of your policy that it has to go through and that you would have to be added as an additional insured. And we are still waiting for that paperwork. So we have everything except for that one document. So what we're looking for, we do have confirmation that he's insured. We do have confirmation from the insurance company. We just have to have the final addition of Prescott Public Schools. I'm confident that that would occur. We have checked with our legal firm, and they've also okayed it as our insurance company was kind of caught in between about whether or not you would have to add an additional rider yourselves. Our lawyer has said that as long as they have insurance, that should cover you. And so tonight, I'm asking for approval, assuming that they honor and bring the final documents with PSD as an additional insured on the liability insurance to allow this fundraising activity to occur on Saturday, May 1st.
Steve, any questions on this?
Yeah, I think the board's fully aware of the situation, how this came about for Dr. Spikuza and the administrative office to deal with. I think it's important to recognize him for acting so quickly with everything else that he has going on in his professional life to be able to do this, because obviously it is an important activity. So thank you for that, Dr. Spikuza. Otherwise, I don't really have any comments as long as we're legally covered and covered by insurance. I'm all for it.
Maddie, any questions, comments? Tanya?
Yeah, I'm excited that we're able to figure this out and be able to have this opportunity. I think part of being a school district is also that community partnerships and building and stuff like that. So this is great. Just to be clear with our policy, there's 3 things that we needed, which was proof of liability insurance. I think the request had to be in writing to use our property, which I assume has happened at this point. And then the users had to agree to being financially responsible if anything happened and stuff like that. So it sounds like all those things are covered, and I think from a policy standpoint, we don't have any reason to say no. And I'm also excited that it's happening. It's a good opportunity and good for the community. So,
Pat?
Excited it's happening. Steve hit the nail on the head. Thank you, Dr. Spikuza, for moving quickly to this and finding a path to allowing it to happen.
Vicki?
I guess as long as, we've met everything that we need to for our board policy, and as long as we're covered, I'm okay with having this, and it'll be kind of cool to see a hot air balloon in town.
Right on. All right. Well, entertain a motion.
I'll move to approve the request by Freedom Flight Incorporated to access Prescott School grounds on May 1st, 2021 for its event to honor and bring awareness to POW MIA military personnel as allowed by Policy 7510, and it abides by all district administrator guidelines for the event that includes placing the PSD as additionally insured on liability insurance.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? That carries. All right, on to information and discussion. The first item is the superintendent update on the COVID-19.
Thank you. So over the last few months, we've tried to make sure that we had a standing item about just updates to the community. Not only are we providing simulcast and recordings of all our board meetings, but each board meeting we do have information that gives you updates on the ever-changing landscape that we're faced with. What I wanted to share is just kind of our secondary reentry. In February, we talked about what has significantly changed and what hasn't significantly changed that would allow us to move from the hybrid model to having our students come back. And so on the left-hand side, we talk about what has significantly changed and the improvement on the overall contamination or individuals being identified as positive, as well as the death rate in Pierce County and within the state has dramatically dropped. In talking with A.Z. Snyder today, the current rates are about where they were at the beginning of September, before some of the outbreaks that occurred on the campus of River Falls, University of Wisconsin River Falls. We continue to monitor the CDC reports and the alignments of the studies, and that we are finding that a majority, that schools are not the primary cause or the primary environment in where we are finding cross-contamination for students. There is an exception, and that tends to be around sports and activities. And you notice that in our winter sports, similar to what you see on the professional stage, is that there are, and college, is that we've had sometimes to pause, but we were very fortunate that we had a productive winter season, and many of our teams were able to go beyond the regular season. Vaccinations. At the time we did in February, we were unsure. We were finally got the luck of the Irish and were moved forward. The state of Wisconsin had identified that teachers or school personnel would be able to be vaccinated as of March 15th. Due to a benefit for us is that we were able to offer to 100% of our staff in all departments, our substitutes in all departments, the opportunity to be vaccinated. We did get our first dose on March 4th, and our second dose is scheduled for April 8th, which will be the week after spring break. Why is that significant? It's significant for us is that, as you know, we've struggled at times with regards to custodians. We've been 3.5 custodians positions that have been open. We've continued to use subs and tried to have individuals come in, and many of our teachers, right after, was it, Kyle, was it the first part of February or the end? First part? Right after we were starting to plan this, we did have 5 teachers identified as positive, and then 51 students that met close contact. So that obviously our best laid plans were delayed. But the good news is we have our second full-time custodian that is hired and is currently working at the middle school as of March 15th. And we've also been able to add 1 custodian to the district through a private company. What hasn't changed? One of the challenges that we have is that we are mandated by state rule to be mandated reporters and also to follow the close contact tracing. And so what those rules are provided by CDC, interpreted by Pierce County, and that's where the handshake between A.Z. Snyder and Pierce County Public Health is anytime we do have a positive test in the community or within the district, we then, and most of our time then becomes, from an administrative level, is having to track students' courses, classes, and all the seating charts. What continues to be a challenge is our middle school provides the greatest challenge primarily because of spacing. And we've shared with you, here are the kind of the increased vaccinations that are occurring. But here's 2 pictures of our middle school classroom. This is a middle school classroom during the hybrid model where we have 50% of the population. As you know, that any student that is within 6 feet is automatically sent home for quarantine based on the guidelines with regards to Pierce County. As you can see, here's another classroom. Once again, we have students at 50% capacity. And so you can imagine what will happen as soon as we put 100% of our students back in, is that we just have more students in a fixed amount of space, that anybody that is ill automatically will have additional students that are quarantined. Once again, those are protocols that we are mandated to follow. One of the things that a lot of people have asked is that as you come into any of our buildings and some of our athletic events, you see that the administration, students, and staff are masked. That's based on the emergency order of our governor that was released in February, and it was in place for another 60 days. That local orders, basically the orders from the governor supersede anything that's in place by the local unless it's more restrictive. There are civil forfeitures, servability, but I wanted to remind that the duration of the governor's rule does continue through April 5th of 2021. So when we come out of spring break, we will be monitoring how our students are doing and whether or not the governor continues any type of emergency procedures with regards to masking. The second level of responsibility for us in following guidelines would be if the governor's orders were to expire. That's when Pierce County has talked about whether or not then they would issue an order, and we are required to follow orders that has the full authority of law if Pierce County were to do that. Something we'll monitor, we'll continue to look at, and we're looking at how that impacts the rest of the year. Obviously, one of the biggest challenges we have as trustees of a district is trying to balance the needs and wants of individuals and also what's good for the majority. And so as we balance individual needs and students or staff that are medically compromised, we have students that are immune suppressed, we have students with different pre-existing conditions. Many of our teachers have sometimes been identified as close contacts from students that are ill. Obviously, after the second dosage, within 2 weeks, our staff no longer will be considered close contact, and that will allow us as an organization to continue to make sure that we are fully staffed and be able to at least be a little bit more predicted, or be able to predict a little bit more about the attendance of our staff, given that our subpool has been really low. As you know, and in the good news, both of our secondary principals for middle school, Mr. Igo and Josh Figge for the high school, did describe for you all the events and our students coming back. Our freshmen and seniors came back, our juniors came back, and we welcomed them back with the ACT exam, which went off today. Next, in 3 days, we will have both our 6th and 8th graders joining the middle school next week. We have communication plans that are posted on our website and continue to be sent home by each site to make sure, mainly because the buildings are different, the programs are different, and the different activities and the age range. So we'll continue to provide that communication through our principals. Families are encouraged, if they have questions or concerns, to reach out to each of our building administrators. As of March 23rd, we have 100% of our secondary students will be on site within 3 days. It does have an asterisk, and it was really important for me to emphasize, and this goes back to my opening comments about how impressive our staff have been, is our technology department has provided, as you know, at the high school, we have a one-to-one with Chromebooks. Every single classroom has cameras and microphones. So our students, although they may be on site or at home, 100% of the students are getting the same instruction at the same time in a synchronous way. That is a dual duty, and some families have chosen to stay off campus for medical reasons or for concerns, and we still are obligated to do that. So one of the things our staff have struggled with, and one of the things that we continue to try to find support, time, and additional personnel, is to provide the, if you will, the ability to create lessons that for students that remain off campus. So although we will invite 100% of our secondary students on site, our teachers are aware and are still working with students that might be off site. By April 12th, we are starting to look at whether or not the Monday off that is used for dealing with kind of a virtual day for students in the hybrid could be turned back on as an instructional day. And so our goal, again, is to look at the information, see how our teachers are doing. If we have 100% attendance by our staff, we're able to manage, and we have a majority of our students on site and can deal with students that are off site, we will be examining turning April 12th back on, meaning every Monday through the rest of the year. We would follow the early release that's in place. And obviously, no one controls COVID. I would love to share with every teacher and every principal, with our families and students, exact dates, and know that we would be able to hit each mark. What I'm better able to do is give you guideposts of what we're attempting to achieve, and then to be able to say we continue to tweak it as we go, and then be able to know that we're all trying to head in the same direction, where we know 100% of our students are better served when they're on site with our professionals that cover the academic, social, emotional, and athletic opportunities. So with that, I would like to see if there's any questions from the board about kind of where we're headed and some of the guideposts that are in place and some of the parameters that are in place for us as we make decisions.
Steve, you want to ask any questions or comments here?
I don't have any questions. I think I understand everything that's going on, so thank you.
All right, Maddie? All right, Tanya?
I know that there's laws around knowing staff having to share about being vaccinated and all that kind of stuff. So that puts us a little bit at a difficult spot to know where we're at vaccination-wise with our staff. But it was my understanding we had quite a few staff members vaccinated. Do you have any idea, are the majority of our staff choosing to be vaccinated or not? And
Major preponderance of our staff did get vaccinated.
that's great. And I mean, and I ask that because staffing has always been probably one of the toughest things for us to keep our schools open, is keeping our staff here, and also just really wanting staff to stay healthy. And I look at that middle school and it's crowded, you know, and it's crowded at 50%. So I want to keep our kids safe, keep our staff safe. My goal has always been to have kids back as much as we possibly can, and I'm super excited that we're able to start doing this. And I love having these timelines out there, but also knowing that the governor's orders can change. It sounds like the county orders can change, as well as COVID. So we have to stay flexible with all of that. And I think one of my other priorities is the less amount of whiplash we can provide for our students and our staff is really important to me. And that includes like the quarantining. Having to quarantine for 2 weeks and then be in and out of school is also extremely difficult on our kids and our staff and our whole system. So whatever we can do to keep those safety procedures in place and our kids in school as much as possible is great. And it's exciting to hopefully kind of see where we're getting out of this a little bit and getting back to as much routine and tradition and stuff as we can. So thanks for all your hard work on this. This is not easy for anybody in this room.
It's a lot of shared work. Yep.
Pat?
No questions right now.
Vicki?
No questions.
All right, yeah, I just echoing Tanya's comments, looking at this slide that says as of March 23rd, we could have 100% of our secondary students on site. I know it's an asterisk, but it's good news. This has all been really good news compared to what we've been dealing with over the last year. And it goes to it's a testament to the preparation and planning that the administration has done from Dr. Spikuza and the building administrators. You guys have endured and had to go through more over the last year for job scope and preparation that goes well above and beyond what you normally do you weren't trained for this. And you guys have done a fantastic job navigating the district, getting us to a point where here we are talking about getting 100% of our kids on site when there's other districts and other communities and states that haven't even seen a classroom all year. So it's a testament to all of you for all the hard work you're doing. I think we're all on the same page here as a board. We want to get back to normal. We want to get kids back into the school. We want everything that the folks earlier want. We want to get back to normal, and that's what we're trying to do here. I think we're doing it in the right way. We're in a controlled way. We still have to follow the governor's mandate, and if it gets lifted, great. We'll look into the next steps after that if and when a mandate does get lifted. So again, just fantastic job. Kudos to everybody. Hats off to everybody that that had a lot to do with this in the preparation that went into it. All the way, teachers, staff, custodians, everybody has done a fantastic job navigating us through this, and I couldn't be more proud to be from Prescott and to be where we are right now. So thank you. Well done. A lot of clapping going on today.
I wanted to ask one question. I know the answer, but I just want to make sure that the thousands of people listening right now can also hear this, which is
thousands.
If for some reason
I heard we're trending right now.
I'll say Katie that listens now. She's here though. But I just want to make sure that people understand that although I'm really excited for my kids to come back and I feel confident in the system and what's going on, and my kids don't have underlying health conditions that I'm worried about, there's a million reasons why I'm in one place that somebody else might not be in, that families continue to have the option, even though we're seeing everybody back, to continue with that virtual model. We'll continue to make sure they receive a high quality education virtually. I know it takes a toll on our teachers. I tried to create a lesson today for teachers that have kids in class and out of class. It's like tripling the time of setting that stuff up. So I know that it's hard on our teachers, but it is there, and we want our families, for whatever reason, to continue to know that option is there for the rest of this year. And then those are things we'll have to talk about more about summertime, about what next year looks like. Correct?
Yeah. Well said, and that's what the asterisk is. So 100% of our families and students are invited to be back. But we fully understand that some families, for whatever reason, will decide to be off campus. It is, and I just want to share, that's the hardship that we're trying to lift in a very, 12 months in, is that our staff are still doing, and I still believe the signs that you see, heroes work here. And I want to recognize the work that they have done and endured over the last 12 months.
All right, well done. Let's move on to item 2, update on the RFP process.
All right. As you know, you approved an RFP. We sent out we sent out an invitation to very specific companies. We also have posted it on our website. The responses to our request are due on Monday, March 29th. Our goal is to review them. And I'll have a question for you at the end, but I want to kind of put in a graphic for everybody, is kind of some questions that came up about long-term planning. And so this is not my graphic, as I've become like that TV commercial. I've become my father. And so I have talented folks that are helping me try to put a lot of information into one slide. And so I want to kind of explain the triangle for you, or the pyramid, is that we are kind of looking at 3 very specific levels. Since 2019, we've been working with you as a board on kind of your facilities review and the SDS kind of review of the facilities. And we would talk about that as the maintenance, repair, and replacement of aged materials. We got some feedback a little bit. Then we have what I would say is level 2, is kind of talking about our learning environments and making sure that both the academic programs and our facilities are in good alignment. So the way that we're teaching today is different than how we taught in 1950, 1970, 2000, 2010. And you have seen some of that with regards to what we've had to do and pivot with regards to COVID-19. And then there's kind of a bigger 30,000 foot level of trying to examine kind of what I would say is a long-term master plan. And when we start to look at that, we need to look at both our facilities and also our grounds. And so, as an example, if you were to kind of take the racetrack, if you will, on the lower level, you can see that level 1 is going to continue, and it overlaps with some of the conversations that we already have engaged in at level 2. Those are the PLC meetings, where professional learning committees by teacher, by group, how our STEM teachers are looking at and seeking out grants, how we're starting to double up on our career and tech ed so that we can have more classes and use the square footage here at the high school. But we also know that that's going to continue for a couple years. Then our recommendation is it's more about spotlights. And so there is overlap, but level 1 is first and foremost our obligation to make sure that the essential investments in our buildings that provide just the substance and the foundation, the roofs, the boilers, are replaced so that the great programming that's occurring isn't with buckets being moved as water comes in, making sure pipes aren't breaking, making sure our heating coils aren't going out. Our suggestion here is that as a board, we're looking for feedback over time where you might move the level 1 forward or backward with regards to time. We also believe that you, at your discretion, would elevate one of these levels up or down, but not necessarily us. So in partnership, we're looking for being able to cover these 3 levels, some of them overlapping, but giving us permission and time to focus and keep the spotlight at this time on level 1 as we march towards February 2022 with a declared referendum. The reason that ties in is that we would like to come back to the board in April with the selection of the project management company to be able to help us tie the projects together with regards to infrastructure and maintenance, and then be able to identify the ones that are best fit and put price tags on that set of projects. So the referendum on the slide 3 talks about the timeline. Currently, we are in the month of kind of February and April. We would be bringing back information and trying to look at what I would say are kind of options that are fiscally responsible, and have some subcommittees that would be able to provide input back to the board. Obviously, July and August, you kind of continue to vet that, but then bring it back to the board September and October for you to identify those 3 options. And this would be very similar to a process that you've done with Teamworks before, where we have a group of a design team. The design team is trying to put that together under the facilitation of our project manager, have input, and then be able to bring that to you to say, here's option 1, here's option 2, and maybe here's a 3rd option for you. The ability for you to have the actual referendum question on the ballot is that you have to have the final language and the amount of the bonds by December 7th. So you can kind of see there's a lot going on. And in 2-month periods, we're looking at only 3 kind of sections that a lot of work still has to occur for you. The reason I mention that is at the selection of the vendor is whether or not we have a rubric. We were looking at having Mike Koika from Facility and Grounds, myself, and 1 or 2 other individuals from the administrative team to come back to you with a recommendation on who we believe would be the best fit to assist us on this project. But I also know that when we did the Act 32 and the energy efficiency, we did bring in the vendors for you to be able to interview them. And so we wanted to kind of identify from your perspective whether or not you had a preference at this time with regards to the process in selecting the individuals that submit by March 29th. And I'll stop there for questions or discussion.
Tanya, do you have any questions or comments here?
Normally you
Preference?
go to the facility people first with these first question things, but
Do you want me to come back?
No,
start with Tanya.
I'll ask a few questions, which is what I guess, or answer maybe, Rick, your question about what we would prefer. And I would say that I think we have some new board members. I don't know if Vicki was here when we were doing interviewing and stuff. And so that might be something that she might want to be part of, is to kind of interview, and things have changed. I think it's been about 2 or so years at this point, and I'm not sure if procedures and all that stuff has changed right now and how that looks. So I'm open to re-interviewing, but I can go either way. And then I also just wanted to comment on the phase 3 kind of stuff that is listed on there, which I believe, I don't have it pulled up, but it was kind of a long-term facilities plan. I kind of was under the impression that we had some of that done and that we had been working on that for the past couple of years. So my guess and my thought is that that shouldn't be too hard of a mark for us to hit. And then I just wanted to, I know it says it at the bottom of that slide there, but these are kind of things that we decided 3 or 4 years ago at this point as part of our strategic plan, maybe 2 years ago. And so it's great to see them kind of coming back and see how we're actually using those plans. And these are our goals. I think we're assessing ourselves right now on those kind of goals and reaching our goals. So yeah, thanks. I like the graphic too, by the way. So Vicki, I'd be curious to know kind of from your perspective about the interviewing and stuff like that. And Pat, I don't remember if you were part of our board at that time either, but.
I was not part of the board. I was part of another committee though that participated in that.
Yeah, no, I've not ever participated in any of this process, so I think it would be helpful for me to at least, I don't know, maybe get a better idea and of seeing what the whole process entails. If, you know, I can participate in something like that. I don't know.
Pat?
A couple things here. To answer the question about whether I want to participate or not, I'm good either way. I'd like to do that. That's kind of what I do, so I'm used to doing it. So whether you decide to have, you know, us as a board decide that we want to, you know, be a part of an interview, I mean, I'm good doing that. If there was some additional help I can support a different committee with, I'm happy to do that. So Dr. Spacuzza, whatever you might find value in, I guess I'm good either way. Kind of a wishy-washy answer, but you have that. Back to the long-term master plan, you know, I agree with a lot of Tanya's comments about, you know, we have talked about it before, but I think it's, you know, in light of the process we're about to go through, I think it's hugely beneficial that we're talking about it again, getting it out there, and as a board kind of coming together and just you know, kind of re-seeing it again fresh. So I'm glad to see this come up right now, and I'd be curious if there's any other questions.
And I don't want to throw us off, but would you remind me, I do want to come back to the long-term master plan, level 3.
Sure.
But I want to kind of stay with kind of what your preference is for selecting a project manager.
Patty, you good?
I'm good.
Steve?
I don't have a comment.
Maddie? Yeah, I would, sounds like the board could go either way on this, so I'll just, my 2 cents is I think we'd be better off, if there's board members that are interested, let's keep it under a quorum at the most. That's my opinion, because we would just slow it down. I think, you know, we'd have to go into a normal meetings and schedule that and work around everybody's timelines. And I think letting the administration do their job, and if there's 1 or 2 board members that would be a good fit for that, and I look at you, Pat, obviously as one, because you are in this business. I, on the other hand, am in computers, so I have really no value interviewing project managers. So I think let's let the administration do their job, and we can take it offline if there's any other board members that want to be interested. I think that's great, and then let's just come back in, would it be April for a recommendation and vote on it there. And we'll obviously get information fed to us before then, so we can make a good decision. But that's my opinion. So, Rick, you want to keep going on the RFP?
Yeah.
Or the master plan, I'm sorry.
Yeah, so the way I'm hearing is that we would have the internal administrative team will communicate to the board how many we receive. We'll start to review it. If there is a board member that would be interested, maybe have Mr. Block join us if he would like.
We can
and
vote
also Vicki.
to have Block join the.
That way we could have some board input and then be able to maybe make that decision prior to April about whether or not those paper presentations are sufficient, or if you would like to have an invited guest. Okay? All right. With level 3, and it really, as we started to put this together, again, I wanted to thank Andrea Herzon for assisting me on this. And it kind of came, I think, out of that last meeting where I think both Steve and Pat, you kind of mentioned about kind of how does all this fit together. And it comes together in different ways, either about the facilities or grade configurations. But at level 3, what we're really kind of looking at is we have a lot of small asks that are never independently overwhelming, and they're easy for us to progress. But I can share with you is that we're in kind of the middle of finalizing our cross-country. I'm going to use one example. We have a cross-country trail that we've been trying to put in place for 4 years. And there is a lot of interest to partner with the city in either through grants and connecting a series of trails that would connect to McGee Park. We also know that there's been some long-term conversations about if, as we progress and if we're able to invest in our facilities, that we will have additional money that we can put into other projects. And the question is, as a high school, is there an interest potentially down the road, not imminent, but where the football field or the track would also be up here? And given that those are things that are pretty large in scope, we also know that when this was plotted, that there was a varsity baseball in the northeast corner, that you can start to see where if we also, down the road, you may want to look at consolidating, or if the population grows, to build another building. And this property, when you built the high school, you had 2 locations. And so I would hate for us to kind of make a quick judgment on placing a lot of trails on a piece of property that you may then turn around and say, but we want a football field here, or we need the school here, and we just spent $100,000, $200,000 on doing that. So the reason we kind of laid it out this way is I just wanted to make sure that you understood that we have all of these on our radar. They can't all be priority 1, but we also wanted to make sure that if there were times where you wanted to move it forward or left or right on the timeline or elevate it, that we would kind of continue to use this as our guideline of trying to organize our discussions and our board agendas in the coming months.
Any other comments on that? Anyone? Pat, do you have any questions on the master plan?
Dr. Cesa, I apologize. Did you kind of ask that as a question?
Only if I would say feedback. Is this helpful for understanding what we're trying to accomplish? That we have many things that we're juggling, but also that we have to kind of prioritize. And right now, I'm going to put more bandwidth, more emphasis with our team on level 1. And try not to interfere with future level 3 long-term plans. And so I would say, and I'm guilty of this myself, of getting over my skis on some projects. And I think we have to maybe slow down some of the requests so that we don't lock ourselves into something that we later regret. And so those are some of the things as an organizing structure. I thought that this would be a helpful way to guide both internally within our organization, but also to partner with the board.
Steve, what do you think? Any questions or anything else on this?
No, nothing right now. Thank you.
Mike, I mean, just a little feedback. So I agree with that, and I agree that is where our time should be spent right now on level 1 and level 2. I guess feedback for me, though, as a board, I think that we need to continue to keep pushing level 3, whatever that looks like. If we're not thinking about that long-term master plan, that makes level 1 and level 2 very reactionary. And so to some level, we have to keep working on level 3. I guess that's my feedback.
Mm-hmm. And I also do see those, many of the districts that have done long-term master plans, that's where you see more stakeholder groups, more community input, because you're not just planning for one curricular area or one facility, but you're trying to partner and use and effectively use the resources that we have or extend resources so that it's shared. So that's where I think we can start to see cross-pollination of ideas that will be set the district up well for the next decade.
Great. Maddie, any comments on this at all? No? All right. I think we're good on that one. I'm going to move on here. That gets us out of, oh no, we got one more. Reminder of spring election, April 6th.
Yes, so we have an election. It is on April 6th. It is in the paper. The times and the locations for the city of Prescott, town of Clifton, Diamond Bluff, Oak Grove, and Trimble. The locations, the regular voting hours are from 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. We do have 2 incumbents, Tanya Holb and Pat Block. This is the public notice that will be in the paper, and one of the first tasks that Ms. Hillebrand will be doing is canvassing the vote and being able to announce the winner of an internal bet on votes.
Right. That's where I was going with it. We'll be placing bets on who gets the most votes, and they'll probably have to do some odds.
Stakes again.
Hey, Mike, can I add one comment?
Yes, sir.
While I am not running this year, and good luck to the 2 that are, being an elected official of this board, I do want to say, and I know that you and Dr. Spikuza will be reaching out to the group that was here this evening. It is good to see a group like that come in. And I looked at my calendar. I think most evenings next week I am available. So take that into consideration if you would, please.
All right. All right, we'll move out of information discussion back into item I, recognition of visitors. Is there anybody that would care to be recognized? While the light is blinding my eye, and I can't see if there's actually any visitors in the audience. No. All right. We will take a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
I'll second.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?